Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Techfest 2012. A small announcement before we begin off this afternoon full of wonderful lectures. All the August members in the house present here, kindly switch off your mobile phones. Even if it's on vibrate, we request you to kindly switch them off because at times, the ringer by mistake may just get switched on. So please switch your mobile phones off. Another request is, if you're taking pictures, please don't use flash. It may disturb our speaker. And finally, please be with us till the end of the lecture. We'd love to have all of you present with us and benefit from Sir's vast experience. Please give us a few moments while we set up, and then we'll be ready to begin. Thank you once again, all of you. You all are a wonderfully knowledgeable crowd. Thank you for being with us at Techfest 2012. A very warm welcome once again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Being here at Techfest 2012, Techfest has always believed in two ideals: ideate and innovate. At Techfest, we believe that dreams turn to reality, and today we have with us a very, very notable speaker, a very, very distinguished guest who will be sharing his ideas with us, Dr. Karlheinz Brandenburg. As such, I don't think Sir needs any introduction because his huge body of work speaks for itself, but in my own humble way, I'll try and introduce to you guys what Sir has actually done in his such a long career span. So he will be speaking to us on digital media, past, present and future. A little bit about Sir. Dr. Brandenburg has been a driving force behind some of today's most innovative digital technology in the audio sphere, most notably the MP3 and the MPEG audio formats. He is acclaimed for finding work in digital audio technology, that's audio coding. His honors include the AES Silver Medal, the IEEE Masaru Ibuka Consumer Electronic Award, the German Future Award, which he shared with his colleagues, and the Cross of the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany. Furthermore, he is a member in the Hall of Fame of the Consumer Electronics Association and of the International Electrotechnical Commission. In 2009, he was appointed as the ambassador of the European Year of Creativity and Innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, reading such a huge list of honors, I think Sir needs no more introduction. Can we please have a huge round of applause for Sir? Sir is undertaken. He's a professor at the Institute for Media Technology at Illinois University of Technology and director of the Fraunhofer Institute for Digital Media Technology, IMDT, in Ilmenau, Germany. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. Can I please have one of our organizing team members present Sir with a token of our appreciation? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Karlheinz Brandenburg. This talk has been brought to us by our sponsor DART, which is a German academic exchange service. In the beginning, I request Mrs. Shubhada Chaudhary, who is the head of marketing DART Mumbai, to speak about education in Germany for a few minutes and share her views with us, post which we shall have Sir speaking with us. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience.
Frankreich, Brazil, Cameroon, Russia, USA, Australia, Japan.
These students came from all over the world to get top qualifications in one of the world's top academic locations. They want to get qualified in Germany. They came because of the renowned institutions of higher learning and the modern research facilities. The quality of research and instruction, the opportunities for learning by doing, and the wealth of tradition and experience are what attracts students and trainees from all over the world. What motivated me to come here was the very good opportunities to conduct research. I was impressed by the fact that the equipment here is so modern and efficient. No other country in the world can boast more universities, academies and research facilities. Well over 300 institutes of higher learning cover the entire spectrum of academic and artistic endeavour. Such hallowed halls of ivy as the Heidelberg, Tübingen or Göttingen universities cultivate a modern curriculum on the basis of long-standing tradition. Young institutions blaze new paths. In addition to the classical university studies, colleges and academies offer practice-oriented training.
It's quite interesting to visit and get to know such large enterprises, and the opportunities exist here for students to do that. The businesses are very friendly to the students.
Students of all nationalities and cultures get together to get qualified in Germany, a country opening its doors to the world. People of the greatest variety of ethnic origins meet here at the crossroads of Europe. Foreigners make new friends.
I have friends from all over. France, Guatemala, Colombia, Nigeria, Germany. And we always talk to each other in German.
But many people also speak English. Few people are aware that in Germany it's also possible to study in English. More and more faculties are now offering bachelor's and master's degrees which are internationally recognized.
More than a master's degree, I really want to have some experience of living outside my home country and to see how the people work, how the people live.
Getting qualified in Germany means getting to know some of the most exciting cities and beautiful countrysides in Europe. No other country can boast more theatres, galleries and concert halls. Qualified in Germany means qualified for the demands of the future. We take care of you.
I'm Shubhita Chaudhary, the head of marketing, IIT Mumbai. And today I'm going to elucidate a little more on the film that you saw just now. We are well aware of the illustrious invention and discoveries made by the German scientists for centuries, as you know. And the centuries-old tradition of invention and discoveries in Germany is very much alive and advancing today, which is very, very evident not only in the invention of MP3 by Mr. Karlheinz Brandenburg over here, and his colleague from the Fraunhofer Institute, which has its roots in the Fraunhofer Research Institute, named after Joseph von Fraunhofer, who invented the spectroscope in 1814. It is indeed a rare occasion today that we are assembled here to listen to Mr. Brandenburg, which in itself speaks volumes in favor of the long tradition of education and research in Germany. So why Germany? Well, some very good reasons to study in Germany. First and foremost, there are over 1,000 international degree programs taught in English in Germany today, which lots of people are not aware of. They still think that most of the courses are in German and they need to know German to a very, very high degree. German universities have introduced these international degree programs, and of course this is a very, very specific internationalization program that is being carried out by the German government under the auspices of the European Union, of course. There is a close link in Germany between the theory and practice. We have practice-oriented institutes which are called the Universities of Applied Sciences, and the research-intensive training which can be obtained from the universities or the technical universities in Germany. Students learn firsthand how basic research is linked with the scientific principles and can be developed into marketable products. And this research, close link between research and theory, is absolutely the foundation of German education. The German degrees are recognized all over the world, as we are all aware of. And this, of course, is a very, very major asset in any student portfolio. Internships are an integral part of these courses, and there is a lot of cooperation with the industry, as you might have seen, which are spoken by the students on the film. These internships allow you to also step into the job market, not only in Germany, but the world over. This year, there was a global gauge survey that was conducted by British Council, and Germany was named the most supportive country for overseas students. Second, Australia. Fourth, UK, and US coming in as the sixth candidate. Yeah, this international table had parameters like openness of the universities towards the students, quality of the degree, and of course how widely their degrees were accepted and their help to international students. Every university in Germany has a very strong student council and an international office which offer a range from services to the international students specifically, so that they can integrate into the university life as fast as possible and then go on to concentrate on their studies, right from providing buddies at train stations and airports to providing legal services and also helping you basically with time management and how to plan your studies. As you can see, there are a wide engineering programs, masters being the most popular of them, with 192 programs, and PhD coming in, the structured PhD coming in at 45. The popular fields in engineering today, of course, as traditionally are mechanical and mechatronics, automotive as well as automotive engineering. The newer fields that are coming up are, of course, biotechnology, computer science. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list, this is just a very indicative list. Students prefer to go to, Indian students rather I would say, prefer to go to these universities, with RWTH Aachen University coming at the first place. They have their own Indian Student Council as well. And of course, most of the universities listed here are part of the TU9 consortium of 9 universities which are extremely highly regarded in Germany and the world over. So now, what is the DAAD, or the DAAD as we call it? It is the German representation of the German Academic Exchange Service. It was founded first in 1925. It is headquartered in Bonn, and it is funded primarily by the German Federal Office and the Ministry of Education and Research of Germany. It is a not-for-profit organization which has been active in India since the 1960s. Our activities in India include, foremost I would say, is promotion of education in Germany, scholarships for Indian students, educational cooperation between universities and institutes, and in fact in IIT we also have a DAAD German lecturer who holds classes right here on campus, and you can contact Simone Weg here to be able to take up courses in German. Alright, then we have DAAD offices not only in Mumbai, but our head office is in Delhi, and we have offices also in Mumbai and in Chennai. So any of these DAAD organizations can help you realize your dreams of qualifying in Germany. And these are some of the backlinks that have been noted for you. We are also present here with a stall of DAAD in front of the Convocation Hall front lawns. So if you need any more information regarding DAAD for bachelor's, master's, PhD, post-PhD, please, you are welcome to visit our stall and get more information. Thank you so much for your time today. And I have the pleasure now of inviting Mr. Brandenburg on stage to take you further through this. Thank you so much.
Okay, good afternoon. Now let's go for technology. Sorry, I wanted to introduce where I come from as well. If you look through this map of Germany, it's somewhere in the middle. It's the historic old center of Germany. And we are just one little part of the large Fraunhofer organization, which has 18,000 employees and everything dedicated just to do applied research, which sometimes means we have to do the basic research ourselves. It's not there yet. We always work with some university. So in my case, it's the Fraunhofer Institute for Digital Media Technology, and I'm full professor at the Technical University of Ilmenau. By the way, since the lady had talked about master's courses, yes, we have a master's course on digital media technology, especially digital audio, which can run in the English language as well. Anyway, let's go on. As you heard, I'm mostly an audio guy. And audio, reproduction of sound, there people think of the first time this has been done. That was Edison with the wax cylinders more than 100 years ago. And already at that time, people, relatively short time after the invention, tried to make this into a business. And there's a story that people working for Edison's company went out into the world to demonstrate the new technology. And even at that time, the dream in audio was to have the production of sound where you can't distinguish the original from the stored version of the sound. So there's a story which I heard from different sources. I don't know exactly how it happened, but it seems that these people working for Edison went out and did demos in auditoriums like this one with a cellist and a wax cylinder Edison phonograph. And the claim was the Edison phonograph exactly sounded like the cellist, like a live cello. Okay, from what we know today, this sounds really incredible. In fact, if you remember reproductions of wax cylinders, there's noise on it and just very limited frequency range, so it doesn't sound that well. But the story goes that the auditorium at that time couldn't distinguish the live cellist and the wax cylinder. So what was happening? Okay, first theory, everybody in the auditorium was half deaf anyway. Okay, I don't think so. I think a lot of young people were interested in that new technology as well. Second theory, that was a time I really thought that must have been for a long time, was that they had this curtain in front of the cellist and the wax cylinder, the phonograph. So probably this took away enough of the sound that what's really coming through sounded very similar. And what somebody told me lately was a third theory, and that was that the cellist took a long time until his cello sounded exactly like a wax phonograph. Okay, anyway, so this dream of high fidelity is really more than 100 years ago. Okay, not 100 years ago, but in fact now more than 30 years ago, there was a dream which started at different places. I can tell you the story from the early work in Erlangen, where I studied and did my PhD, and in fact my supervisor for my PhD work, he said early in the late 70s that we should use phone lines, digital phone lines, ISDN, to transmit not just speech but music. And he applied for a patent for this basic idea. And the patent examiner said, okay, you know, music takes up much higher data rate than just a speech signal. So it's impossible to transmit music over phone lines, and impossible things, sorry, you can't get a patent on that. So don't tell a German professor that something is impossible. He will try to find a way. Okay, in that case it was not Zeitzer himself, but he looked for a PhD student to show that it can be done anyway. I was around, I have to admit, I thought the patent examiner was right. It couldn't be done. But I tried my best anyway. And together later on with a number of people, it was not just my work, we proved sites are right and the patent examiner wrong. It can be done. So that was in the mid-80s, and in fact at the same time similar work started at a number of places throughout the world. In the US, in Europe, in different countries, in Germany, in fact at several places in parallel. Japan as well. So, how does that work in the end? Yeah, there might be some users of MP3 here around. What bit rates do you use these days? So, 128? Somebody more? 256? Yeah? 192? Okay. Anyway, at 128 we are at a compression rate of more than 1 to 10. I have to admit 128 for my ears is good enough for the train or walking around. It's not good enough for the home stereo. There, especially young people might be able to hear the artifacts. Anyway, a data reduction of 1 to 10 means you have to lose some information. You can't do completely reversible data reduction. So the idea here is that it sounds the same way in the end. So the quality in the end is judged by listening tests, and we know something has changed. If we decode MP3 files, the bits and bytes are different from the original piece we got, for example, from the internet or from CD, if it was original waveform music signal. So this idea, in fact, came up at several places in parallel, not just in Erlangen. Today we call that perceptual coding, and it means we have to look at the sink of the signal, that's our ears. Okay, our ears and our brain are very sensitive. This is just the mechanism of the ear. You know that. We have the pinna ear canal, inner ear, and really in here on the cochlea, that's where we get the connection from mechanical movement to the nerve firing. And in fact, for our ears, it's not just the mechanics of the ear itself, but it's what's happening in the brain. And with this, we now know that on one hand, this is a very fine instrument. Over the years, I learned to really admire what our ears can do. On the other hand, it does have limitations, and one of these limitations is the so-called masking effect. If you have a loud sound, like being on a train station or walking the streets of Bombay, you might not hear somebody speaking to you because it's so loud. The loudest sound masks the fainter sound. This has been researched for a long time, in fact, since the 30s and 40s of the last century. This is called Psychoacoustics, and it treats all the hearing as just a black box. The question is there, I have some input signals, when are they audible and when not? And we have the basic threshold of hearing in here, so everything below this, we have frequency going left to right, we have sound pressure level up there, and anything which is below this line isn't audible anyway. In fact, that depends on the actual person. Some people have better hearing, some less. And especially young people can hear frequencies beyond 20 kilohertz. Older people, this stops at 8 or 10 kilohertz. But anyway, that's not the main effect. You can use that. In fact, that's how we get to the 16-bit of resolution for compact disc, for digital audio normally. The more important effect is the masking. If I have, for example, some narrowband noise at 250 Hertz or 1 kilohertz or 4 kilohertz, the whole curve, the whole mask threshold is modified and everything below here is not audible. Okay, and we take this idea and just combine it with the idea that if we do quantization, we get quantization noise, and we can, in the model, just treat that as added noise. First, let me give you an example. We have some original signal to start with. Okay, that's from Paul Simon, Graceland CD decades ago, but that's not the point here. If we just quantize the signal in time domain with blocks of something like 20-40 milliseconds and do a calculation of the actual noise, then we get to we can average that to some average signal to noise ratio. If we do it for every single block at about 14 decibel, we get something which is white noise at signal energy minus 13.6 decibel, and it sounds not nice. It varies with the signal amplitude, but otherwise it's constant over frequency. Now we do something else. We take a model of human hearing. We do an estimation of what's the mask threshold for every block of frequency and every time. And we introduce noise just at this estimated masking threshold. It turns out that for this musical signal, we just are in the range 13-14 decibel. And it sounds like this. So the overall amount of noise introduced in both cases was the same. Just to make the point clearer, I now do a different signal. So I have just the noise by itself, not amplified. In the white noise case, it's just modulated over time. In the perceptual model case, it really follows the signal. Again, integrated over everything, it's the same amount of noise. Again, if you add this to the original signal, it sounds like this. Okay, and that is what happens in MP3, AAC, Windows Media Audio, Dolby Digital, and all the other audio coding systems. In fact, we early on came up with some general basic paradigm which says, okay, to do this in the right way, we have to analyze the signal in short blocks with a filter bank. Again, not a real Fourier transform, but just block by block, so short time Fourier transform or some other version of a filter bank. We do a psychoacoustic model to estimate the just mask threshold. We then quantize in a way that we are below this mask threshold, just format the bit stream, and we are done. In fact, in the case of MP3, this looks a little bit more complicated. I better should not spend the 5 or 10 minutes to go into more detail. course, you can ask me any question. Again, we have the filter bank here. We have a total of 576 different frequencies. We have a psychoacoustic model which tries to be accurate, but it's not that accurate, not that much accuracy necessary. We have quantization, which uses some analysis by synthesis scheme, do Huffman encoding, and then everything is put into the bitstream according to the bitstream definition of the MP3 format. So that's all, and in fact, there's a lot of knowledge necessary to do it the right way. The basic idea has been out there for a long time, is used by a lot of systems. In fact, this basic system with somewhat different parameters is the same for other codecs as well. Okay, now let's go back 25 years. In fact, that was not exactly predecessor to MP3, but it shows our team of that time with its leader, Professor Gerhäuser, at front. And you will see later on another picture of the same team, plus one more person who came in just a little bit later. A lot of the reason we had success was that there were people who really believed in the idea. We got resources to do this research, and we really believed that we could do the best audio compression around. This was not easy. In fact, it started with standardization, but anyway, first, a lot of people didn't believe us. I remember in 1983, we showed the first preliminary results to a local consumer electronics company, and they told us, oh, we are just introducing this new medium called compact disc. Who needs data compression? We have all this data around. In 1986, when I gave the first talk at a conference on our early results, the session chair said, okay, very nice research for university, but you know, this will never work well enough that the golden ears can accept it. In 1988, we talked to people. We had the idea that this could be used for digital radio broadcast, audio broadcast. They plainly told us, oh, don't bother, we already decided what to use. Okay, anyway, 88 was the year when things really got faster. There was a European collaboration project called Eureka Digital Audio Broadcasting, which gave us, and in fact other teams, a lot of resources to continue with this research. And in 88, the Moving Pictures Experts Group, founded by Leonardo Giaglione from Italy, started soliciting proposal to do video compression to fit on CD-ROM. You remember, 700 megabytes CD-ROM. Seems old today. In fact, they wanted to bring video on CD-ROM, and it took them only a couple of months to find out that, okay, usually all the space on CD is taken up on audio. So if we don't want to just have movies without sound, and they are really out of fashion, we should have a standard on audio coding as well. So they asked, the Moving Pictures Experts Group asked for experts and proposals for audio compression. And then came a time where basically everybody in the world working on this. We had a total of 14 proposals from different countries, for several from Europe. And in the end, there were two consortia which really did a neck-to-neck race. And that's, in fact, in hindsight, very important, because we never knew how good are they really. And everybody was working against somebody which was very powerful and very good, so we need to be better. So this competition really made both win in the end. In fact, what most people don't know, the other consortium, that result you can mostly find in MPEG audio layer 2, which is used in hundreds of millions of devices in the world as well these days. So it's been successful as well. Okay, MP3 is used on some billion devices, but they are very successful as well. Anyway, in the end, it got political. And we had some, in the competition, some counting grades in a way that the others were a little bit better, but just a little bit, and at lower bit rates, clearly our proposal was better. So in the end, the decision was to have a standard with different modes, which were called layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Layer 1 was mostly pushed by Philips for a product called Digital Compact Cassette. Is here anybody who still remembers DCC? One, okay. Yes, that's what happens in consumer electronics. Philips spent hundreds of millions of dollars in this development. They tried to market it worldwide and didn't succeed in the end. DVB, of course, is known, is in use here as well. In India, compact disc interactive, okay, that's some early predecessor, nobody uses it anymore. And for the first few years, for layer 3, only application was really for broadcast stations to feed audio over phone lines, which is the original idea, but it was really not that big of a business. So that was the time when my position there changed as well. I came over from the university doing basic research to Fraunhofer, and suddenly I got responsible together with others as well. And we said, okay, but we have the best technology. We shouldn't find a way how to get it out into the market. And we used the internet. First, instead of writing real letters to people, we used NetNews, the predecessor of today's computer forum. And Harald Popp wrote frequently asked questions on compression and why layer 3 is the best. We still called it layer 3 at that time. We used shareware as a tool to get some software out to people. This was early 90s, so computers were still slow. In fact, we got some more companies using the technology in the professional area, and another German company built the first decoder chip to really decode MPEG audio layer 3 files, which otherwise that would still be a box of electronics. And in fact, it was at that time already, in 1994, that two of us visited the offices of a major record label in Munich and told them, look, here's something which could be interesting for you. We can get music on computers and transmit them over internet. Shouldn't that be an application you could be interested in? In 1994, they said, okay, nice technology, but what does that have to do with us? So they were really, it was friendly disinterested. In 1995, we got a first larger application. There was a company called WorldSpace who built satellites to do transmission of radio programs, especially to third world countries. And I think they've been for sale in India as well for quite some time. So this was the first major application to use MPEG audio layer 3. And there was a first software company in the United States, Macromedia. They are now part of Adobe, who decided to use this format in one of their products. It was in 1995 or late 94 that a British entrepreneur of Indian descent visited us in Erlangen. He was the first one I knew who wanted to make a business out of transmitting music over internet. And he asked us, do you know that you will destroy the music industry? And we said, no, we won't. But in fact, we started working on digital rights management technologies. There were the first websites using layer 2, and in fact, finally, PCs became fast enough to do on-the-fly decoding. Before that, you needed special hardware. So in 1995, the first Pentium chips and the fastest 486, they were fast enough to decode layer 3 on the fly. And for these files, we needed a file extension. So in mid-1995, in Erlangen, we did an internal discussion, okay, which file extension should we use? And I still have the email where the results of this discussion was announced on 14th of July in 1995. We decided to, from this day on, use the file extension .mp3. So if you look for an official birth date for MP3 on the internet, that's this one. Anyway, we built software to decode these files. Again, as a demo, we soon found out that we didn't do the encryption good enough. People very fast found a way how to construct the registration codes. So it was in widespread use, but not many people paid for it. In fact, since this was a standard defined by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, IEC, the way how to do encoders and decoders was in public. We do have a lot of patents, and people do license them, so Fraunhofer makes quite some money from that. But the way how to do it is in the open. And in '96, students interested in the technology wrote other decoders. Microsoft got interested, and from that point on built the decoder and first the limited, later on good quality encoder into Windows operating system. And in fact, in '97, something helped spread the idea in a way that we really didn't like it. We had professional grade encoders for sale at a price of $700 through a little company in Erlangen. And a student from Australia, using a credit card number stolen from Taiwan, bought this software, analyzed it, found we used some Microsoft-specific internal application program interface, wrote a different user interface, put this together with our encoding kernel, packed it, put it via Sweden to a US university FTP site, together with a README file which said, this is freeware, thanks to Fraunhofer. Okay. At that time, we were very angry. And in fact, we tried to, on one hand, hunt him down and tell the public prosecutor. We were able to find him and told the public prosecutor in Australia. And told all the websites who said, oh, there's a new freeware encoder for MP3. No, this is not freeware, this is stolen property. But of course, it was out there. So, what do you do if you want to sell something for a couple of $100s? You find out a lot of people want it, but they rather steal it than pay the hundreds of dollars for it. What we did was change the business model. So from that time on, we gave licenses to other companies to have encoders very cheap. Still some license fee necessary, but no longer hundreds of dollars. And in the end that helped, and in the end that some people thought this is free, which it wasn't, helped as well. So in hindsight, it was not that damaging to us. At that time we were very angry. Anyway, at that time, end of '96, early '97, the first websites came up with music not endorsed by the owners of the rights. And in fact, the Recording Industry Association of America watched this, said, no, this is very damaging to our business. And took legal action against 3 colleges and universities in the US where there was especially widespread use of this technology in an illegal way. Okay, so far so good. They did something more. They said, okay, we have to deter others to do the same thing. So they told the journalists who wrote a story into a big American newsletter, USA Today, nationwide circulation, which read, there's this new technology which lets people compress the music and then transmit it over internet, and some people do it illegally and get illegal access to music, and it's so good audio quality that the music industry is afraid of it. Okay, that was not really deterring, but more like advertisement. Something similar happened just a year later. A Korean company using the decoder chips from Germany, I talked about it from 1994, did the first flash memory-based MP3 player. US company, Diamond, thought, oh, this is a nice product, bought the design, in fact the whole company, and announced that they would bring this device to American stores by end of 1998. The RIAA again thought this is not a good idea, looked into all the textbooks, thought they found a law which could forbid this, took legal action against this company Diamond. It went on for a couple of months. All the American newspapers and a lot of international ones reported on this. In the end, the RIAA lost. Diamond was able to sell these devices, and they could have never afforded that much advertisement. Okay, so more people using the technology, and in fact, from my point of view, at this time, the avalanche was rolling. We got more and more companies interested. There was Napster out there helping people to do not endorsed transfer of music files. And I have to say, I really think artists, everybody in the music business has a right to get some money for their work. So please don't steal music. There are plenty of alternatives around and to get to good music. Anyway, it was then a couple of years later that, as you know, Apple did things even better. They started first the iPod, then the iTunes Music Shop, and that's where we are today. Okay, what else? So of course, we did one big success. Always speaking of we, because this was really a large group of people at Fraunhofer at that time, with help from a lot of others. So it was not just Fraunhofer, but my dear friend Jim Johnston from IIT Bell Labs, who did a lot of work on this, Bernd Edler, Hannover, and so on and so on. A lot of people involved. Anyway, in the MPEG standards group, people said, okay, but we can do better. It was especially AT&T and Dolby who said, we can do better than just MP3. So there was another test. And in Erlangen, the decision was, okay, if there would be any competition to MP3, we want to be part of it. So we really worked hard, and the result of this hard work was another standard with a bit different companies involved. So Thomson was no longer part of it. On the other hand, Dolby was part of it. And Sony was part of it. Our idea was, okay, we have a group of Fraunhofer in Germany, AT&T, Dolby, Sony. So both the Americans and Japanese can think of this as their technology, and we just get the royalty money. That's fine. In fact, in the end, I think some people think AAC is some invention of Apple. No, it is. It's probably licensed from a group of companies, which Fraunhofer gets some relatively large share. So the result of all that was AAC, and that's the second most used format for audio on the internet. iTunes, mobile phones, streaming services, and so on. And if you look for the very best audio quality at higher bit rates, AAC is still state of the art. Okay, since I have talked quite some time already, let's do some listening tests with you. So if anybody has paper and pencil or can just remember, I will play 4 examples of each piece of music. The first is a known original. Okay, if I then just play something and say, is it original or coded, we get a 50% chance of guessing. That's no good. So I give you 3. Out of these, at least one is coded, at least one is original. That gives you a 1 out of 6 chance of guessing. So for 3 different items, it's 1 out of 216. So calculus tells us probably at least 1 or 2 persons here will just guess it. But anyway, try for yourself. Let's see how many. You have young ears, you should be able. It's not impossible. But it's a much lower bit rate. This is 48 kilobit per second using what today is known as high efficiency AAC. The demo is already again quite old, but it's still state of the art for this type of demo. Let's get started. First unknown now. Speech is something our ears are well built for. We really can distinguish just small differences in the speech, but try for yourself.
In the course of a December tour in Yorkshire, I rode for a long distance in one of the public coaches on the day preceding Christmas.
First, Anna.
In the course of a December tour in Yorkshire, I rode for a long distance in one of the public coaches on the day preceding Christmas. In the course of a December tour in Yorkshire, I rode for a long distance in one of the public coaches on the day preceding Christmas. In the course of a December tour in Yorkshire, I rode for a long distance in one of the public coaches on the day preceding Christmas.
Now the last example, for my ears that was always the easiest, but let's see. For the second, we had original, then coded. For the third, we had original, coded, then original again. Who got all? One. Good. Okay. That's within expectations. And in fact, if you listen to this signal and you are well trained and you are in a listening test environment with very good loudspeakers and so on, it becomes easy at some point. But for the environment here, as you see, it's not that easy. Okay, so we are 20 years later and everybody's still around. Some more gray hairs, clearly. And you can see mine in the last 5 years got more gray as well. Yeah, I hope you can find me. talk about new media, but new media is nothing new. It happened over and over again. And I don't want to go back 500 years to the invention of printing of books, but let's take electronic media. So this started with radio playing concerts. In fact, radio was a big damage to the record industry of that time. Really big damage, more than today. In fact, just this morning I saw some numbers that look like we finally have a turnaround, at least in the US. We have an increase in the sale of music again, and we have more than 50% now digital download instead of selling CDs and vinyl. Again, next, cinema. First, of course, without sound, but later on, move theater everywhere. Movie theaters go to our home. And I still remember when I was young, that tells you how old I am, that we had TV, and before that there was a weekly news show in the cinema, and we had the Tages show, which means daily news show on TV. In fact, what we see there, first, there was nothing different from what you got in the movie theaters. Only later on people discovered new ways to use this new technology. So today in TV we see a lot of things which we would never go to a movie theater for. A lot of things. I don't know how it's in India. In Europe we even have shows where you can see for a few weeks how 8 people live in some container. I find it boring, but some people think it's very interesting. MP3 players first were just to replay music like we had done with the cassette tape players before. Then we got podcast, we got video on there as well, and a whole new range of applications. In fact, in TV, it's still happening. We have analog TV, which is first just transferred to digital TV. We have many more TV channels these days. But what we really could do with digital is not really started. We haven't seen that yet. So it always takes quite some time from a new medium which first emulates what has been there before with just new technology to use the new possibilities. And we are just there for all the digital technologies. So, this picture is stolen from some Star Trek fan site. It should look like spaceship control. Anyway, sometimes I have the feeling our home stereos look like this these days. Just too many possibilities. This is just to tell people, look at usability. There's people, humans who want to use the technology, not just technicians who are happy with 100 more functions, where I have to dig through several menus deep and so on. So really usability is key for the future. This is an old dream. In fact, it's soon 15 years old. We can't, most of it is, anyway, it's technically possible these days, and most of it you can find in products. At that time, my dream was, okay, if I play some music from CD, I don't want to go to my computer to rip the CD. This should automatically be done. Once I play it, from that time on, it's on my server at home, and I can just replay it. I want to search for my favorite music, and an old idea is that you just hum a tune, like da-da-da-da. Most people think of Beethoven for this. So why shouldn't my home stereo do the same? It should then be able to search in the internet, like telling me, okay, by the way, you have 3 different recordings of this on your server at home, and there are 6,747 more on legal websites where you can buy them. So it should be able to tell me all that. And I want to come home and just tell my home stereo, look, I'm tired. Please play some of my favorite music for me. Something slow, and please nothing I heard in the last 2 weeks, otherwise it would be boring. And yes, for a lot of families it's very important that this is not just speech recognition, but speaker recognition as well, because different people might have a very different taste of their favorite music. Okay, we did a few of these things. In fact, recognizing music, okay, you have that as apps on your smartphones today. Shazam, unfortunately not using our technology we developed. They are a competitor, but a very successful one, so it's only fair to name them. Identifying music, but just holding your mobile phone in that direction. We did do some research on the hum recognition as well. In fact, we had very good results, and we put such a system into a German electronics store and let people try it as the top 100 search engine. So people should hum some music or sing some music into it, and then they would get the result and ask whether they want to buy it. To know how all this is working, we did anonymous recordings of what people were humming or singing into the music, into the system. The result of this was that this really doesn't work, because for more than 50%, the machine or any human listening would have stood no chance to recognize anything. Just people are not able to hum music in that way. Okay, so it's more like a game. And in fact, it's available as games these days. What's the result of these? Metadata is king for digital media these days. It allows personalization, it allows me to find what's around, it helps me to find my favorite program, so I have personalized EPG, and so on. And there are different ways how to gather metadata. There's collaborative filtering, the combined knowledge of people who use the systems, or it can be machine learning, actual signal processing, and that's where we are in. Anyway, what's happening? Okay, you know that mobile replaces wires. In a lot of countries, there are more mobile phones than landline telephones. There are new wireless channels, new offerings, broadcast, UMTS, LTE, wireless LAN, and so on. In fact, nearly everything can transmit internet packets. So, how would things be in the future? Anyway, looking at storage. You know Moore's law, we get more and more storage space every year. Today, it's many gigabytes. In the not too distant future, it will be terabytes on our mobile devices. And that means we can basically not only carry all our music with us, but every media, everything. And we can have more comfortable, more easy ways to do the synchronization. We will be able to just walk somewhere and there's a nice screen and our device asks us, okay, shouldn't I replay that at the large screen? And we will get it full quality there. And we will have intelligent agent searching for us in the internet. So there's a lot of technologies. For home, we can have the top home server, of course, with all our media library, or everything can be just pulled from the cloud. Okay, I know, cloud is the buzzword of 2011. I don't know whether it will still be the buzzword of 2013, because it's a nice technology with some drawbacks, and people think everything will be in the cloud. I don't believe so. I think we are still enough hunters and gatherers that people want to have their own data in terabytes at home, and not just in the cloud. Anyway, what else will be at home? Yeah, we will have more data. And speaking of terabytes, is here anybody having more than a terabyte of music on his not at IIT, okay. Or you don't want to say it. There are legal ways to acquire such music. In fact, in Germany, there are even legal ways without spending too much money. Anyway, if you have a terabyte, I can predict easily that you don't know really what you have. And you need help in searching it. So search and recommendation will be keywords for the next years to come. It's already today and it will stay that way. So what else for media? There's one buzzword I really like for quite some years now. That's immersive and interactive. Okay, there's been some 3D TV project in Europe which had this as just as a symbol, like we will holographic reproduction and look at a football game like this from all sides. And we will be able to interact. Interactivity is an old buzzword. So first, couch potatoes will survive. There is the mood of just lean back and watching something and listening to something without interaction. On the other hand, this is old news already. The computer game industry becomes larger than the movie industry in some countries. I know in India everybody goes to the movies, so I don't know when this will happen here. But in other countries, it already happened. In some countries, people spend more money to buy musical instruments than to buy music. And clearly the World Wide Web is interactive. Computer games are interactive. So yes, we are slowly moving towards more interactivity. And there's a nice symbol for a lot of the research. So, are there Star Trek fans out here? Who knows the holodeck? Not that many. Okay, that's an American science fiction series where one element was a room which has holographic reproduction and other techniques to really makes you feel you are in a different world, a different place. And you can interact, you can be part of something which happened in history, or it can be a training program for combat or peaceful purposes or whatever. You can do everything in there and interact. And this is a nice symbol for a lot of the research going on today, both in video and in audio. We already see more and more movies are in 3D. And for audio, there's some new technology which makes me think that audio really is ahead this time in terms of research. This is called wave field synthesis, and that's what I want to talk about in the last few minutes. Okay, audio production, phonograph, mono, one source of audio. Then last century we had stereo setups, 2 loudspeakers, and it can give you a pretty good impression, but still not perfect. Then people came with surround sound, 5 loudspeakers. With that we have one problem. With the 5 loudspeakers, it's still intensity driven, so it works best at one place in the middle. If you're outside, if you're more people, no. If you look at a typical living room, no, that's not where the loudspeakers are allowed. They are more there, so the sweet spot is not where you are sitting. And in the cinema, it's similar. We have a number of loudspeakers, but still the sweet spot, the best audio is in a very narrow part of the cinema. So what to do about it? There's an idea which is now more than 25 years old, which goes back to some idea which most people know from school physics as the Huygens principle. Since he was Dutch, I'm trying to pronounce it that way. It's not completely right, but okay. In fact, there were other Dutch people who in the 80s thought about this idea and tried to use the same for acoustic waves. And the basic idea is You can recreate the waveforms coming from one source with so-called secondary sources. And this can be light waves in the original Karlheinz principle, or it can be audio. So with a number of loudspeakers, you can recreate the same waveforms as you would have otherwise. Okay, looking a bit more into physics. Okay, let's do this. Here are so many people who know physics very well. This is the Karlheinz integral, and it's basically a theorem for mathematics saying if you have waves, so some system copying the wave equations, then the integral over all the surrounding can be used to calculate the exact component vessel velocity and pressure at every point inside and outside. So that's the basic idea. And from that, people just did simplifications. So if they just take one of these parts, it's working only inside, no longer outside. And they sample the space. So you have a discrete number of sound sources. And they just do a one line instead of the full cube, which gives you some possible artifacts, but in the end it works quite well. So still you need a large number of separately controlled loudspeakers. They create a wave field within the listening area, and you can have virtual sound sources outside and with some limitations even inside. So it works in a way that you can be in a room and you can walk halfway across, not the full way, but halfway around a virtual source, and yes, there it is. And something which really people in Hollywood like most, you can have a ghost whisper to you and come directly to your head. So that is used in Disney World, for example, in Florida, as an application of this technology. So to get it real, you have to listen to it. Unfortunately, no system in India yet. I hope this will change. The next one from here is probably in Korea. And of course, in Europe, there are quite a number of systems, and in the US, only at the West Coast at the moment. Arabia as well. Okay, so there are some commercial applications already, and you have to experience it. In terms of audio illusion, it's a big step over 5-channel surround sound. Really big step. Okay, and we have some systems in Germany, like in the Bavaria Filmstadt, what they call 4D experience. So you have 3D video with the glasses. You have all the loudspeakers around. Here you can see them. You have moving seats, you get fresh air, and it's really fun to be there. And we equipped a few cinemas, including the Chinese Mann Theater at Hollywood Boulevard in the United States. And they are the first movies using it. And we really hope that this will be successful. From my point of view, it's really a major step forward in audio. First for cinemas and professional applications, later on for homes as well. And yes, there are ways to do different loudspeakers and to reduce the number of loudspeakers. Your home doesn't need to look like that. So, there are really plenty of new topics. We shouldn't say, no, we've done all. We are just starting in digital technology for audio and video, for all the digital media. There will be new audio systems really adjusting to the room, using some things we just today learn about how our brain works. So there's basic research necessary in these areas. And technology will open up new possibilities. Immersive interactive virtual worlds, 3D audio and video, search and recommendation. These are a lot of fun topics, and what makes me most happy is to see the young people in Ilmenau who work on these applications and really thinks they got fun topics to research on. Who can say that his research topic is to listen to music. Okay, it might get boring if doing the hundredth time the same piece.